Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic viewers planning questions answered with the delightful, delectable, fantastic Linda Wright. Welcome, Linda.
Yo, hello.
Well, today we've got a great question here, and the handle from this person, I love it. We've had Guerrilla Investor, and we conjured up Phil Collins playing the drums. Remember that one? This time we've got Mega Man 2016. It almost sounds like one of them computer games, doesn't it, this one? So Mega Man's got a great question to one of our recent videos where we were talking about the Grade 2 listed buildings and permitted development rights, where we were trying to use Class MA to create a takeaway. Now that had 11 different points that we managed to answer in that video. So if you've not watched it, there's the link to it just up here. But this question, Linda, the Mega Man 2016 is looking at this building. They want to do a Class MA conversion, a commercial conversion of the uppers on this shop, but it's in a locally listed building rather than a Grade 2 listed this time, and it's in a conservation area. So his question is, does this apply to locally listed buildings too?
Do you want me to answer this now? So you want to use Class MA to convert, and you must be able to prove, as we found out in Leicester, Andrew, that the building has been used for use Class E purposes. So commercial, business and service use. That is one of the requirements for Class MA, and it must have not necessarily have been used, but it must have fallen within one of those use classes, you know, the old-fashioned Class A, B, A1, A2, A3, B, and all of that. So you must be able to prove, and some councils ask you for it, other councils, if it's fairly obvious, they're not going to bother. But you must be able to prove that it's fallen within the use class, the new use class E, or one of the old use classes that form use class E, for a period of 2 years before you submit the application. Now, with regard to it being a listed building or a locally listed building, you can't use Class MA on a statutory listed building, but there is no mention in the legislation of a locally listed building. So that being the case, you are within your rights to submit an application for the prior approval of the council on a locally listed building. There's no mention of that. It just says forms part of a listed building or land within its curtilage. So if it's not, however, if it's within a conservation area, and I understand that this building is in a conservation area, then if it's in a conservation area, and if you're just doing work to the upper floors, if you're just creating flats or something, that's fine, it's not a problem. But if you're going to be converting the entire building to residential under Class MA, then you're going to have to, if you're going to be doing any works, for example, if you have a fairly ornate shop front and it's all wooden and it's got nice panes of glass and it's got a nice doorway and it's original, or it's been there for a good number of years, and you're going to be changing that, because obviously you're going to be changing from a shop frontage to a residential, and you're probably going to brick it up and put a residential scale window in. If you're going to be doing that and you're going to be changing the ground floor, then what the legislation, what the GP General Permitted Development Order says, is if the building is located in a conservation area, and if the development involves the change of use of the whole building or part of the ground floor, then the council will be able to consider the impact of that change of use on the character and sustainability of that conservation area. So if you're going to do something that's going to stand out like a sore thumb, it's going to look really ugly along the street scene in a lovely conservation area, then the council will be able to refuse on that basis. But Obviously, if you work with an architect, planning consultant, or whatever, if you're going to be converting the whole building or the ground floor, then you do need to bear in mind that you need to have special concern about how you are going to convert that ground floor and what it's going to look like in the conservation area. So hopefully that has answered Mega Man's question.
Well, I think that's a really cracking answer that you've given there, Linda, because what you've touched on is that a locally listed building is not a statutory listed building as defined in the GDPO of buildings that are protected and can't have the Class MA applied, but also a great reminder there on the conservation areas and the facts that, like with Leicester, we had to get a conservation impact statement done for the creation of the flats that you very kindly helped us with. And all of those are just processes that you must ensure you put into place.
Sorry, Andrew, you've just hit on something there for Mega Man's purposes. If he is converting the ground floor, then you need to be advised that, as Andrew's just said, we were asked in the building that we converted to flats. We weren't actually doing anything in the ground floor. It was in the conservation area. We weren't doing anything for the ground floor. However, we were doing other works that needed some sort of emphasis from a point of view of it being in the conservation area, stairs and stuff on the outside at the rear. But the council still asked for what's called a heritage asset impact statement. And they asked for that. And you may, if you are going to be converting the ground floor, if it's only the ground floor, if you're just going to be internally creating a couple of flats upstairs, actually, if you're only creating a couple of flats, you could arguably use Class G of the GPDO. So that's something to have a look at as well. There's all sorts of things about domestic refuse management on the Class G, but there's no.
Well, we did a couple of videos on the Class G and also the difference between G and MA.
There's no requirement for transport impacts of the development, so then they're not going to start asking you for car parking requirements. Where Class MA, they can feasibly, unless it's slap bang in the middle of a town centre, then generally car parking is public, there's public transport and you don't need car parking. But you may be asked for, just keep it on the back burner, you may be asked for a heritage impact assessment report to go with your application if you are going to be doing external works, and certainly if you're going to be doing works at the ground floor.
Brilliant reminder there. Brilliant point. Well, I was going to say Mega Man 2016 certainly should be happy and give you a big thumbs up for that. And if you're loving what Linda's telling you, give her a thumbs up, smash that like button, smash the share button. And if you're not already, why aren't you subscribed? 3 out of every 4 people who watch these videos are not subscribers. Are you one of those 3 out of 4?
What?
Till that next time, Linda, thank you very much. It's been brilliant having you with us as always, and we look forward to answering more viewer questions shortly. Stay tuned.